Did you know that statistically only 5.3% of people who watch our videos are actually subscribed? So if you could subscribe, it means so much. It's completely free and it goes such a long way. Enjoy the video. So goalkeepers, you got Dean Henderson, Sam Johnston and Nick Pope. Defenders, you got Ben Chilwell, Connor Cody, Eric Dyer, Reece James, Harry Maguire, Tyrone Mings, Luke Shaw, John Stones, Trippier and Kyle Walker. Midfielders, you got Jude Bellingham, Phil Foden, Jesse Lingard, Mason Mount, Calvin Phillips, Declan Rice, James Ward-Prowse. And forwards, you've got Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Harry Kane, Marcus Rashford, Bukayo Saka, Raheem Sterling and Ollie Watkins.
Right, so I want to go through this by position, but I just wanted to let everyone know here that this is the last squad that's going to get picked before we go into the Euros. So the next time Gareth Southgate announces the team selection will be in May. So this is the last chance for some England players maybe to show what they've got. So I just wanted to put that out there. So let's go for the goalkeepers. Of course, Pickford's injured. So that means Dean Henderson, Sam Johnston of West Brom and Nick Pope come in, who of course plays for Burnley. Who do you think is going to start for England at the number one position?
I think it'd probably be Nick Pope, although I think he's going to swap them at half time like he normally does in friendlies with Dean Henderson. Sorry.
I think Pope or Henderson, to be honest. Yeah.
I was surprised by Sam Johnston, but I suppose he has.
Not really think of any of the goalkeepers either.
Ben Foster, but he has done quite well. But of course, a shaky defense with West Brom, you could say, and them not doing so well. But he is still a class goalkeeper.
Hasn't he faced the most goals in the faced the most shots in the Premier League as well?
Yeah, he's had a lot of penalties to deal with as well, I think. Now the defenders. Now, a very controversial one, which we have to speak about, Trent Alexander Arnold not being a part of the England squad. What are our thoughts on this one? Of course, this is what Gareth Southgate had to say before everybody goes and talks about it. He said, Trent is, of course, a super talent. I'm certain he'll play a big part for England in the future. I don't think he has played at the level that he found in the last couple of years, but I think he's getting very close to that. So, do we think Trent Alexander-Arnold's been let down by Southgate here, Joe?
No, I probably agree with what Southgate's saying. I probably would say he hasn't reached the level that he has done in previous seasons. But I think that could be said about the Liverpool squad as a whole. It's not just his fault. I don't think he's been let down. I just think he's been given an opportunity to prove himself and actually been called out on it. And if he does improve himself towards the later stages of the season, he could find himself be moving back in. But I don't think it's likely.
Alex, do you think this is quite vital for Trent to get into the squad? Because, of course, this squad could be the squad for all we know that goes and plays for the Euros. Maybe not, actually, but he might. A lot of players might need to get back in the England camp and see what it's like and just make sure they still know what it's about. Do you reckon Trent might miss that?
I think Southgate might have done it for just to kind of motivate him to be better, because he's seen that he's not been at his best this season, although he has been probably one of the best fullbacks in the league this season, even though he hasn't been very good overall. But when I look at the right backs, they've got Reece James, Kieran Trippier and Kyle Walker. Kyle Walker, he sometimes plays as a wide centre-back, so it's Trippier or Reece James who you're probably going to play at right back. And I would argue, even in his bad form, I think Trent Alexander-Arnold is a better right back than Kieran Trippier. So I think the only reason he's probably left him out is either behavioural, which he hasn't specified about, or it's just because he wants to motivate him to become better and be at his best for the World Cup.
Yep. I do think. Well, Wan-Bissaka's not been included, has he?
No, I think it might be a nascent change, apparently.
Yeah, so we did speak about this last week. He could be going to the Republic of Congo. So I don't know if that's played in Southgate's decision to not include him in the squad. But you could say that Wan-Bissaka, and I'm not being biased here, but Wan-Bissaka has been one of the best right backs in the Prem this season. You could maybe say.
I think it's mainly because Southgate plays with like attacking fullbacks, and I don't think Wan-Bissaka really fits the style of play of Gareth Southgate. But he maybe even could fit into the centre back role because he's done the same with Kyle Walker, but I'm not sure.
Yeah. Now, Joe, looking at the centre backs, quite shocked by some of these. Eric Dyer, Tyrone Mings, John Stones, who of course has played brilliant so far this season, Connor Cody, and Harry Maguire. Were you quite surprised that Tyrone Mings got into the squad?
Not really. I think he is a very good player, and I think he does deserve a place in the squad. From our team and our performance currently, it is showing almost that he's picked Tyrone Mings. It does sort of speak of Southgate picking the players that he does prefer, because I know he does like Tyrone Mings, but I don't think that is a bad choice necessarily. And that's not biased. I think he's a very good player.
Yeah. Would you argue that Ezri Konsa could have maybe taken Mings' place?
Konza could well have made that team, yeah. But I think Mings is more of a marquee pick for the team. I think Konza works just as hard as Mings, and at times can even play better than Mings. But Mings is a very well-rounded defender, and I think that he is ultimately a better player than Konza, even though Konza is such a huge asset to the team that we have right now.
Yeah, of course. Atletico Madrid have performed very well this season. I believe they are first or second in La Liga. But Kieran Trippier quite surprisingly made it into the squad, but it is known that we don't really watch the leagues like most other people, so we don't know how well he's been playing. But if Southgate trusts him, Southgate trusts him. Alex, shocked by Eric Dyer, considering our Spurs haven't been amazing defensively this season. Probably better than last season, but not as good.
I think it's a mix between he's not been great for Tottenham by any stretch of your imagination, and when he's played for England, he's been probably one of our worst players. So to see him picked again, I think it must be due to I've seen this type of squad over and over again from Gareth Southgate, and it must be a fact that he doesn't like changing it. He likes the same team so he can keep the same tactics. So I don't know. I don't think he'll play Eric Dyer because he does like swap the team around quite a bit. But in terms of the squad, I don't see much variation. So yeah, I was very concerned about him picking Eric Dyer again, seeing as he's not had the best season and he's not been the best for England. So
Yep. Now going on to the midfielders. Of course, if we do play five at the back, we could see a possible three midfield. Who would you two be choosing if we did play a three midfield?
I know Grealish and Maddison. I think they're both injured, but if
Yeah.
they weren't injured, I'd probably go for them. But in terms of this one, Declan Rice, Mason Mount, and Phil Foden.
I'd
about you,
probably
Joe?
go Foden, Rice, and then either Mount or Lingard. I think Lingard would be a really interesting pick.
Yeah, I think Lingard does flow quite well with the England squad. We saw it very much in the 2018 World Cup. Of course, he scored that goal against Panama and a lot of other vital goals as well and assists. But Jude Bellingham, there's a bit of a concern with him because I believe there's COVID-19 restrictions of him going up to the England squad. And I know a couple of clubs, including Liverpool, were thinking of not letting their players go to the England setup. That might have been a reason why Trent goes, or maybe Southgate's just not picked him because, like he said, he's not currently on the best of form. But Bellingham, the rule could change, but yeah, it's still another great chance to get him involved in the setup to possibly in the Euro squad. So yeah, we'll see if that happens. Jesse Lingard, of course, returns. He's hit form in the last couple of weeks. Would you say he's deserved to get back in the squad?
Yeah, I think he's deserved to get back in the squad, but I don't think Gareth Southgate should be picking him to start, maybe come on as a substitute because he hasn't been on the best of form for all season, maybe last season as well. But there's no reason why he can't come on and play very well and then earn a starting squad in starting position in later squads.
Yeah, of course, John Stones and Luke Shaw making comebacks as well. Luke Shaw has to surely be making that left-back spot his, doesn't he? Considering Ben Chilwell maybe, but Shaw's been on fire so far this season, hasn't he?
And Chilwell, I think he's fallen out of favour with Tuchel. I've seen him play Marcus Alonso at left back rather than him, so I don't know whether that's a statement from the manager or what.
Yep. Now looking at the forwards. Now, so if we're playing three in midfield, we have to pick two up front. So out of those brilliant strikers, but before we pick Joe, Ollie Watkins surprisingly getting an England call up. What do you think about that?
I was very surprised at it, to be honest. I do think he's earned it for me personally, but I know a lot of people would argue against that. However, I don't think he'll start, and I'm not sure he'll get a huge amount of game time just yet. He is quite young, and he goes through dry spots. I think a more likely start would be Calvert-Lewin and Kane. Rashford as well. Southgate really likes Rashford. But yeah, I don't think Watkins will start.
Yeah, of course. Southgate did talk about Watkins and say he suits his style of play, and Watkins presses really well, which Southgate wants in his strikers. Alex, who would your duo be in this team?
If you were going for two up front, I'd probably have to go Calvert-Lewin and Kane as well. I'd like to see Rashford start up front because I know Southgate likes to start him in wide positions, and I think he's more effective for England when he's up front. As well as Sterling hasn't been on that good form this season, and maybe a go up front instead of on the wing could do him good. But in terms of strikers, I think we're good with Kane and Calvert-Lewin, and I'd like to see Watkins get a few tries because I think he's just put him in for the friendlies to see how he does, and then if he does quite well, he'll be there for the Euros. So